I wish we could hear more from Mario. I know we saw him yell that people won't believe you.
I want that manifesto so bad.
I want the manifesto. I want to hear his thoughts and his motivations, and just to know if it is like a revenge. You know, you didn't pay my bills. I'm coming for you. I have no point. I'll never get out from this debt. What was my life worth? Or is it, I'm trying to make this world a better place, and in my estimation, removing you is a great place to start.
Apparently, he came from money.
I did hear about that, and it frustrated me because people are murdered all the time, and I don't see terrorism charges.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Compare Luigi to a similar case of someone who saw like a specific organization or body of people as being wrong and decided to start killing them. I would say Luigi has a lot in common with Ted Kaczynski, right? The Unabomber. Ted's whole idea was that technology is going to be the problem. He wrote about it in his manifesto, Industrial Society and Its Consequences. And there was a ton of stuff in there that he was right on the money about. He wrote it in 1995, and he says stuff like, there will become institutions of technology in which humans treat their social standing in these pieces of technology more important than their interpersonal relationships and day-to-day lives, and it will break down structures of family and community. And it's like, yeah, that guy was, batting 100.
No one ever calls him dumb. Yeah.
No one ever calls him dumb. Exactly. But he followed the logical conclusion of that and said that any form of society that causes that future to happen is bad. So we need to get rid of it. And in some cases, he killed, and a couple of the people he did kill are ones who it's hard to feel sympathy for. He tried to kill like people at Exxon who were responsible for covering up the oil spill, or like the lawyers who try to keep it. And it's like, yeah, we can get behind that. But then his natural conclusion to that was one of the people he killed was a manager of like a Radio Shack, like a computer store in LA. He put a bomb on an airplane that was leaving LAX because he was like, if we can start blowing up airplanes, that will cause people to distrust like travel highways, and that will cause a disillusion with it. And it got to the point where he started to send bombs to professors. He started to send bombs to like tech.
And he would get assistants, right? Like he would get secretaries and assistants sometimes.
Most of the people who were harmed in the explosions were like secretaries of professors.
And he knew that was happening. That's the other thing. He had to have gotten some sense, because you're going to do this. You're going to check the papers or the news, however he was getting his information, and make sure that it was successful. But he had all that collateral damage. And he continued. So
in his head, he was like, these are, acceptable, caught in the crossfire cases for my true goal, which is disassembling this potential maniacal technocracy that he wanted to avoid. And so like and anyone who's that, devout, that much of a believer of something like that, ideological, like you won't be able to be like, hey, you killed the secretary with that most recent one. He would respond to like, yeah, and that's a shame. And that's too bad.
No. The way he phrased it, because he wrote about it in his journal when it would happen, is that these secretaries and stuff were complicit. They were a part of the machine for even allowing themselves to be in that position. He only expressed frustration that he wasn't killing enough people, because most people who were around when the bombs went off were injured or maimed instead of dead. So he was mad about that, but never mad about who the target was. The way he phrased it when he posed the hypothetical of what happens if some people on airplanes or some people get caught in the crossfire, he said, well, you can't eat your cake and have it too. That's the way he looked at it. So I think a lot of the time with figures like Luigi, figures like Ted Kaczynski, every now and then they may say something like Ted talking about social media, like effectively predicting it 20 years early. Or you have like Luigi hitting someone who did a bad thing. Typically, the kind of person who is willing to throw away their life to end someone else's life isn't someone who's ideologically involved with like us or the majority of society, right? Yeah. Typically, even though they may, a broken clock's right twice a day, even though they may do something that aligns with us, I would imagine if Luigi had the chance to continue on and act this out, there would be a target that we wouldn't be so agreeable with. And then it becomes a question of, is this guy just looking to kill people he doesn't like? That's the case more than not.
Dude, the CIA fucked up. They could have, Kaczynski just could have been a guy doing math, and then they poured 4 gallons of LSD in his mouth. And they were like, oh,
the MK Ultra stuff is a little a little overpressed in his history, but it is funny to imagine that they just like wiped him.
This guy's brilliant. Let's freak him out.
Let's poke him real good. Yeah.
Turns out he doesn't do what we want. He's like totally lost it. All right, jot that
Mario
down.
didn't do any of the things that you're saying makes him bad. You're like, Ted Kaczynski was bad, therefore Mario is too. Ted Kaczynski is the future Mario had he not been caught. But there's no evidence of that. All we have of Mario so far is one very well-targeted act of goodness.
I would say you are right. I'm not saying definitively like Luigi would have been Ted Kaczynski. I'm just saying like compare him to a similar person of another case we have historically. And I am like imposing my own ideas about him a little bit.
Why don't you compare it to something like that guy smoking the child molester who had molested his son at the airport? Remember the dude that fires that revolver shot under his arm from the payphone?
Yeah.
Gary, no.
Now
Dude,
that's
Why, Gary?
That's
a good shot. I always give that guy credit for that shot. That's a good shot.
Yeah.
it is a good shot.
Yeah, and that's a good example of what we're talking about.
That
Like,
is
you
a
can
good example.
identify that and be
It's
like,
the
that
other
was
direction.
Yeah,
Because it's not like Gary there. Okay, hold on to finish the Ted Kaczynski thought. I'm more so saying that with Luigi, these are kind of where I think he was at. This is entirely subjective. I think he was more figure like Ted Kaczynski than he was like an altruist or like a John Fox figure. So I was saying Guy Fawkes figure or something like that.
Oh, from V. Is that his name?
Yeah, well, the real
Vendetta,
Guy Fawkes. Yeah. So V for Vendetta is like, that's who the mask is based on stuff. The actual Guy Fawkes tried to commit the gunpowder treason to blow up the king, and he's hailed in history as being like a hero who tried to stop a tyrant. I don't know if that's what he's actually like, but to me, Luigi is more of like a Unabomber figure than he is like that, but I could be wrong. That's just my interpretation.
Yeah, we won't know
about-
because we need to know the alternative future where he doesn't get caught to see who's right. I'm sorry, Kyle.
I was going to say this is. You mentioned Guy Fawkes. Do you know about the Chamber of Little Ease? This trial needs cameras. I would watch this a couple hours a day. I would subscribe to YouTubers who cover it. You know what I mean? I want to know what legal experts think about it.
Absolutely, I
want to be part of jury selection. Like, my God, I want to. This is fun. This is some drama stuff because it's bigger than the two men involved. It's this cultural class warfare thing that hits both sides of the political spectrum, and it hits the younger side even as it hits everybody. Like there's people from every walk of life except for Fox News hosts who understand this. You know what I mean? When I watch Fox, they're just like, they're so disconnected on this issue in particular. A lot of times I watch and I'm like, you tell them, that's how I feel too. But like with this one, they're like, it almost reminds me of them covering like choking and sex. A few weeks ago, I saw one of the ladies on Fox talking about choking and sex becoming more prevalent. And she's like railing against pornography. And it's like, who do you think your audience is, man?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is a little old on that one.
I would say that this is a scenario where I think the right wing, like talking heads, whether they be Fox News, Ben Shapiro,
Trump,
Dave Walsh, I think Trump too. I'm not positive on it. Matt Walsh, maybe I'm doing. But like these guys are all anti Luigi over there,
of course,
or Mario. I'm fucking it up, and it's so many jokes I got mixed up. He's Luigi,
but he's
Luigi.
To call him Mario.
Okay, yeah, they're all anti Luigi over there, but I don't think that's where the Republican population is overall. I think the whole American population is with this guy. Not, as a whole, the majority of Americans are with this guy, but not the right leadership.
He only needs one.
Dude, he'll have he like it's gonna happen. Like it's in New York, right? Like he's not gonna get convicted. Like they will. You just need one, dude. There's gonna be multiple people on there.
You know, I asked you to bet with me on this, to gamble with me on this, and I thought that I was taking the long shot by thinking that he would get off on this through some mistrial or what have you. But you're thinking you agree with me now.
Yeah, I've definitely switched over on it. Like
you know what? I think they're going to be.
Well, I don't think he's going to get a not guilty, but it could be like a hung trial or hung jury.
Yeah, it'll be a hung jury.
Yeah, I'm fine. I think he walks. I think there's a good chance he walks away out of that courtroom. And if he does that, then he's going to start doing podcasts, and that's going to be great.
Oh, I'll get him on.
I'll get him on.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should have the fucking CEO killer on.
Well, I'll dress up as Mario when he comes on.
Yep.
Yes.
I'll need a fake mustache.
What if he's like just insufferable? What if he like he's just like not interesting? That was the one interesting thing he did.
That was it. It's like, you like games? Fuck no, dude. What a waste
He's
of time.
incredibly well read.
You like movies? Never seen a movie in my life. I read. Well, like any fiction? Absolutely not.
Mostly Japanese pornography.
One of the craziest things he wrote, and this is maybe what leads me a bit more to thinking he's a Ted Kaczynski figure. One of the craziest things he wrote was his Goodreads review of Ted Kaczynski's Manifesto.
Okay.
And he hold on. This is good reading material for a podcast.
Yes.
Hmm.
Luigi Industrial Society.
Yeah,
review.
Start with how many stars he gave it, because that's
He gave it 4 out of 5. I remember that. Yeah,
4 out of 5. He thinks he knows better than the Ted. Because I really looked up to him.
This is the review. Let me get the actual screenshot because this is a Reddit text post. I want the real one to confirm. Okay, as far as I know, to my current knowledge, this is legit because he had a Goodreads account where he rated a bunch of books and stuff, and he rated Industrial Society and its future. So, to the best of my knowledge, this is his actual rating. 4 out of 5 stars, which is funny. And then he says, clearly written by a mathematics prodigy, reads like a series of lemmas on the question of 21st century quality of life. It's easy to quickly and thoughtlessly write this off as the manifesto of a lunatic, in order to avoid facing some of the uncomfortable problems it identifies. But it's simply impossible to ignore how prescient many of his predictions about modern society turned out. He was a violent individual, rightfully imprisoned, who maimed innocent people. While these actions tend to be characterized as those of a crazy Luddite, however, they are more accurately seen as those of an extreme political revolutionary. A take I found online that I think is interesting. Quote, he had the balls to recognize that peaceful protest has gotten us absolutely nowhere, and at the end of the day, he's probably right. Oil barons haven't listened to any environmentalists, but they feared him. Oh, wait, this is still his quote. Sorry, continuing. When all other forms of communication fail, violence is necessary to survive. You may not like his methods, but to see things from his perspective, it's not terrorism, it's war and revolution. Fossil fuel companies actively suppress anything that stands in their way, and within a generation or two, it will begin costing human lives by greater and greater magnitudes until the Earth is just a flaming ball orbiting third from the sun. Peaceful protest is outright ignored. Economic protest isn't possible in the current system. So how long until we recognize that violence against those who lead us to such destruction is justified as self-defense? These companies don't care about you or your kids or your grandkids. They have zero qualms about burning down the planet for a buck. So why should we have any qualms about burning them down to survive? We're animals just like everything else on this planet, except we've forgotten the law of the jungle and bend over for our overlords when any other animal would recognize the threat and fight to the death for their survival. Violence never solved anything is a statement uttered by cowards and predators.
I don't see.
Okay, so he looked up to Ted K a lot.
Yeah,
that last quote goes so hard, by the way. Violence never solved anything is uttered by cowards and predators.
That's fair. It's fair. I'll stick with him on that. But like, man, I hate the fucking fear mongering from the far left on the environment.